This video is made possible by our generous supporters on Patreon. Check out patreon.com/NWR for all the details.
After nearly 15 years of lying dormant, Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series reintroduces the classic 2.5D platforming franchise for a new generation, and thanks to a recent Japanese eShop demo, we've been granted an early look. Fantasy Reverie series remasters the Wii remake of the PlayStation original Klonoa Door to Phantomile and the PlayStation 2 sequel, Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil, placing them in one neat, convenient package. After spending some quality time with the 3 levels available in the demo, we've pulled 7 takeaways that will hopefully shed some light on the upcoming collection. Number 1. What's old is new again. Personally, I have no previous experience with Lunatea's Veil, but I can say with confidence that Klonoa Door to Phantomile plays almost identically to its predecessors. Klonoa's moveset is the same, the layout of the levels is the same, and even the music is the exact same OST from the PS1 and Wii versions. Any difference to the core experience is essentially imperceptible. That's not a bad thing at all, as Klonoa plays just as brilliantly here as he did over a decade ago. Instead, what Fantasy Reverie series offers is a snazzy new coat of paint and some peripheral features such as redone tutorials, a tweaked localization, and some difficulty options. Number 2. High definition. The visuals are the star of the show, as these remasters are the first time we've seen Klonoa in HD. The underlying core is decades old, and there is a budget feeling to the final result. That said, the art direction is still strong, and the return to a bold, colorful, saturated look is much more fitting over the grayish, dull presentation of the Wii remake. And a special mention should be made for Klonoa's character model returning to his original design and proportions in Door to Phantomile. Unfortunately, the pendulum occasionally swings too hard in the opposite direction. At times, the lighting leans too bright, as overexposed highlights and harsh bloom effects become overwhelming. There's also a pixel filter option that gives the game a lo-fi, crunchy look that is little more than a cute novelty. Overall, though, Fantasy Reverie series achieves a pleasant, workmanlike upgrade over the original releases. Number 3. Targeting 60 FPS. Fantasy Reverie series runs well on Switch, but not without a couple of hitches here and there. From our testing of the first game in docked mode, we have determined that the frame rate hovers around 50 frames per second for regular gameplay, at times hitting 60 or dipping into the high 40s. Frame rate fluctuated the most during cutscenes depending on what was on screen. There are noticeable frame dips, so keep that in mind if you're sensitive. To my eyes, they did not detract from the experience, so your mileage may vary. Of course, this is also a demo of what is likely an earlier build of the game, and might not be wholly accurate in portraying the release day experience. Number 4. Tips galore. A lack of tutorials was never a weakness of the original games, but Fantasy Reverie series goes out of its way to spell out gameplay elements and mechanics in detail, and makes them easily accessible via the pause menu. This is great for newcomers and younger players going on their first Klonoa adventures, which should probably be left off by platforming veterans since the tips might spoil the solution to beating bosses or getting past minor puzzles. Number 5. Easy, normal, and probably hard. At the outset of the demo for each game, you are presented the option of either choosing the easy or normal difficulty. Easy mode increases your health to 5 hearts, reduces incoming damage, provides you with infinite lives, and extends the reach of your wind bullet, the mechanic that grabs and inflates enemies. Normal mode keeps your health at 3 hearts, limits you to a finite number of lives, and maintains the reach of your wind bullet from the original PlayStation releases. Officially released screen caps reveal a third hard option, but this was not available to us in the demo. It's a shame that the difficulty options seem to be static, as there was no way to swap them on the fly. Hopefully this will be addressed in the full release. Number 6. Co-op? Not quite. Technically speaking, Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series qualifies as a co-op game, though the word technically is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. With a second controller connected, a second player can occasionally press A to give Klonoa a super jump. That's it. That's the entire mechanic. This is a holdover from the original release of Klonoa 2 that is now featured in both games. The most noteworthy thing about it is just how unnoteworthy it is. However, I was able to pull off what would have been an otherwise impossible jump with it, so maybe it will have its very niche use cases. Number 7. Klonoa 2 re-released for the very first time. Back in 2001, Next Gen Magazine reported that Namco was planning on porting Klonoa 2, among a number of other titles, from the PlayStation 2 to GameCube. Though this port was never officially announced, The other ports were eventually released, leaving many to believe that the GameCube port was started internally and ultimately cancelled due to the poor sales of the original game. Despite the remake of Door to Phantom Isle on Wii and the PSN re-releases of the PlayStation original, Klonoa 2 has never seen a release beyond the PlayStation 2. In a way, Fantasy Reverie series fulfills a long-forgotten dream, finally making Lunatea's Veil officially available after over 20 years to both a Nintendo audience and beyond.
This video was made possible by our generous supporters on Patreon. Did you know that Nintendo World Report is funded directly by fans like you? When you support Nintendo World Report on Patreon, you get immediate access to multiple exclusive podcasts every month, exclusive Discord channels, an early look at select content, and more, all for as little as $1 a month. Check out patreon.com/NWR for all the details.